صل وسلم دائما.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching The Right Path. I'm your host Rida Shah. Competition and uncontrollable desire for power and greed has existed in humanity as long as humanity has existed. How greed crept into our social structure unidentified and unmonitored is because of the innate desire of humans to feel special and important. Whether a monarch, a Mughal, or someone who featured in a Forbes magazine, living a lavish life and having plenty of money is identified as the goal in life. I'm not saying that it is a bad thing to aim for a comfortable life, but it is very important to draw a line, to know when you're being greedy or when you're being ambitious. In conversation with Dr. Kaval Kaisar about this very trait of human beings, that is greedy. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sahiba, how are you?
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah.
So, Dr. Sahiba, I think this is a very important topic because in today's world, I think we kind of mix it with a lot of things. So, first of all, I would like to ask you to describe greed. And is it only relevant to money, or is there anything else involved in the spectrum as well?
When we talk about greed, the most important definition that we get is from Surah Al-Takasur, verse number 1 and 2, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Al-Hakkum Al-Takasur, Hatta Zurtumul Maqabir. When it said that competition in worldly matters increases that divert you and you until you visit your grave. So this word, At-Takasur, means not only greed, but greed is of a nature where you have a competitive sense. It's not like I want everything, but I want it in competition with someone else. Oh, what does he have? Oh, what does she have? It also includes tangible as well as intangible. Oh, so and so is studying over there, so my kids also need to be there.
Right.
If there's a doctor in someone's family that I can't stand, then someone in my family has to opt for this medical profession. And then in this competition, we also want to keep increasing without setting any limit or bars for ourselves.
Right.
So yes, this is something that is not appreciated in Islam, because it is a very exhaustive process when you're just in competition, not because you're motivated to do something, but because you're trying to compete with others.
Because
in
you want to bring
yes,
someone else down.
Yes, you also want to bring other people down, and you want to show off yourself as being the supreme person or being the authority in a certain area.
Right, that is indeed, I think, uneasy for the person himself or herself, because they're not working on themselves, they're just trying to prove a point to someone else. And the constant sense of competition is also very impactful in the sense that it really diverts the person from what they actually want to do in life, and it kind of, I think, constrains them socially as well.
It is a very addictive process, because you have something and you want more. You have
Right.
something, then you want even more than what you have. And because of that, what happens is that we tear down the rights and responsibility package that exists between us and different relationships around us. So it's like we are bulldozing everyone and everything, like, I don't care, I just need this thing, or I just need to get it done by hook or by crook.
Right. Then there's no, I think, right way. You will never think about if it's the right thing I'm doing. You just want it done.
Yes, you want it done.
No questions asked. Okay, so like I said in my introduction that sometimes some people are ambitious, but sometimes people are like, oh no, this is greed. If you want more success in life in terms of your work, you are being greedy. So can you explain to us what is being greedy and what is being ambitious, and how to differentiate between the two?
Yes, it's a very good question, Rida, because there's a very thin line when we talk about greed and being ambitious, because again, you want to strive forward and you want to have a lot of achievements at hand and you want to enjoy those things. But when we make a difference between greed and ambition, one important thing is it's about goal setting. Like in greed, your goal setting is different.
Right.
And when you're ambitious, you have a clarity on which domain you are going to enter into. Then there is also a purpose behind greed as well as ambition. So you can keep check on that. And that is why we also remember this saying by the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, Innamal amalu binniyat. Our actions are based on our intentions. So basically it's for us to see, am I going greedy for this thing? Am I bulldozing other people? Am I not giving every people their due regard? Or yes, I'm ambitious, I'm moving forward, taking baby steps, using all those opportunities for my benefit and achieving material gain as well as a status gain, and there is nothing wrong with that. So basically, when you are ambitious, you are benefiting yourself and you're also not creating disharmony for other people around you.
Right. You have a certain goal, and your intentions most of all is very important.
Yeah.
Because you're not doing it in a competitive sense, you're not doing it to bring someone down, but you're doing it for your own progress and your own prosperity. So that's all right.
I think in greed, there is also an element of stinginess. Like you
Okay.
want to hide from people and you don't want to share with people. When you're ambitious, let's say Allah has blessed you with a skill, so you want to teach your colleagues, your juniors, you want to reach out to people, you want to express it in the best possible manner. And similarly, if you have money, you want to pull out sadaqah from it, or
Right.
give out a lot of charity. So that is why ambitious people, they will always look very positive, and they have a very different kind of outlook towards life, and socially also they are more comfortable in any environment.
Right. I think that is very important thing that you've identified, because then it makes it easier for the person who is being surrounded by greedy people.
Yeah.
Because if I see this kind of behavior, I will know that, okay, this is a person being greedy and this is a person being ambitious. And I will try to adopt qualities of a person who is being ambitious in life.
Exactly.
And okay, now if we talk about this, that greed is considered a genesis of disbelief, because you're piling up, piling up. We'll talk about in terms of wealth. So you're piling, but you don't know what is going to happen next. God Almighty is the one who decides what happens next, not you. So your comment on that, that how greed is associated with being the genesis of disbelief.
That is very, very important, because we find out that in one of the narration, Prophet ﷺ said that the son of Adam grows old, but two things remain with him: greed and long hopes. So basically, how we move towards this disbelief is that since we are just trying to have more and more and more, so we somehow want to live more and more, and somehow we set very wrong targets for ourselves. I was reading about Alexander the Great, that
Right.
when he was on his deathbed, he actually told or requested the people around him that when I pass out and people are there for my funeral, please have my hands out or like this, so that people can see that me, the conqueror of all the continents, is leaving this world empty-handed.
Empty-handed. Wow.
So this is something that we need to remember. In fact, he also said that have in that procession all the doctors and experts also follow, that they could not save me. So this is something that, like, sometimes when we are greedy for the life and we're greedy for anything, tangible, intangible, so we are not having our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is how definitely we move towards an element of disbelief.
That is true, because like you mentioned, that great people have passed empty-handed. Everybody
Yes.
goes to the grave empty-handed. So if you have that sort of mindset when you're approaching life, that you don't know what's going to happen next, you should just enjoy the moment that you have, live your best life at that moment, and leave the rest to go on God Almighty.
Yeah.
I think that will actually help you a lot in enjoying life and passing life in the true essence of Islam.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Indeed.
So now we know that greed erodes your soul slowly, and it has an immense effect on the functioning of your brain as well, because you're in a constant, like we discussed earlier. So can you highlight the impact of greed on your mental and your physical health as well?
When we look into the elements of greed, how they affect us, first of all, they make us selfish. We are only focused on ourselves. It's about me,
Right.
and me, my life and what I'm getting out of it. Then this brings in an element of jealousy. You're not able to tolerate it. Then it brings in anger, because again, when you have to, in certain places, give up your right, this is something that you don't want to live with. Then at the very same time, we find out it creates an environment of unhealthy competition. And then basically, you create such a scenario for yourself that your happiness is sucked up. You don't have happiness, and because of that, obviously you will have physical symptoms as well. You will be irritable. Some people have high blood pressure, some people are always complaining of aches and pains, or they have anxiety, or sometimes they land into depression. So yes, definitely it affects our physical as well as our emotional health. Our state of mind is badly affected by that.
Right. And in a society that is going more materialistic, wealth is kind of a thing that is justified for a lot of people. If somebody wants respect in life, they should be wealthy. If somebody wants good relationships in their lives, they should be wealthy. Everything is associated with wealth.
Yeah.
So I think it is not the fault of humans to actually strive for wealth in their lives. So how to change this narrative? Because I think it is very important to identify that, okay, there's a gap in the system, there's a problem in the system because of the capitalistic culture. We are made to believe that wealth is the true happiness in our lives. So how to change this narrative?
Prophet ﷺ said in a narration that may the slave of dinar, that is the gold coin, and dirham, that is the silver coin, and qatifa, that is the outer garment, and all of them perish. If he is given them, he is pleased, and if he is not given them, he is not pleased. So one thing that we have to understand is the reality of life. Second thing we have to understand is how to set goals over there, because a lot of time when the parents are talking to their own kids, and in an effort to make them ambitious and strive and have a good life, because parents always want their kids to have a secure future. So sometimes they give them or instill these ingredients in their life where they catch on to this thing that everything is about having reliance on money and status and everything, and just acquiring it by hook or by crook.
Exactly.
So this is something that we need to be very much aware of. I was reading about this greed, and they say that sometimes people land into greed syndrome.
Right.
Like it's a mixture of so many emotions and so many traits that you have, like you become overly self-centered, and obviously it is going to affect you. There is a lot of envy in your life. There is no empathy. You don't care about what other people are doing. And imagine for a minute that there are greedy people in a society. So what kind of class system it is going to create? The poorer will feel more frustrated. They will have less chances of, like, having all the facilities for themselves. And the people who are rich, or because they have collected everything out of greed, all these hoarding of sugar and hoarding of these utilities sometimes, it is because of that greed that we should be able to earn more money for ourselves. Then these are the people who are never satisfied with what they have, and apart from that, never satisfied with their life. Sometimes they will be living in places like palaces.
Right.
And they will be having every blessing at hand, but they're still not happy. We also find these people are very manipulative.
Right.
When they are talking to different people or handling different situations. Then their focus is always short term. If someone tries to talk to them and tell them, look, there are needy people around and they need something, or look, think about your life after death, or when you die, look at people when they go in their grave. They don't carry anything with them, but they're like, who cares? Let me at least right now do what I want to do. And they don't set any limits for themselves. It's always about more, and more. It's not like I have achieved this target and let me either go into some volunteer work or charity work, or learning myself, and whatever learning I have, let me guide other people around me.
So basically the feeling of content is missing from their lives, because nothing can ever be enough for them. And this will have long lasting consequences in the way they conduct themselves, the way they talk to other people, the way they bridge gaps and form families. So now we were talking about people who are wealthy, ghani, and how does Islam guide us in that respect? If you have the wealth and you're not greedy, so how should you go about it?
There is a warning in which the Prophet ﷺ said that 2 hungry wolves let loose amongst sheep will not cause more harm and corruption to them than a person's greed for wealth and status will do to his religion. So that is why what is recommended is you need to have this ghina, where you feel self-sufficient, where you feel that, okay, this is my limit, I can do with very little amount at the moment, and let me help out those people who don't have much. So in that, as far as the material things are concerned, circulation of money, we have the system of zakat, we have the system of giving out charity. then sharing your talents, reaching out to people and helping them, getting engaged in the volunteer projects as well. I mean, that is something which is highly recommended by a lot of experts who are like the life coaches, and they say that on a yearly basis you should be engaged in at least one activity where it's not about a status, it's not about money, it's about just returning what the society has given you back to them. You know? So this is like a beautiful concept that we need to carry with ourselves. And yes, going beyond your needs, like not always thinking about your needs. I remember one of the narration in which Aisha Radhiyallahu anha, it was she was fasting, and so they had the food prepared, and someone asked for that food. Someone was hungry and they knocked at the door and they requested for some food, and Aisha Radhiyallahu anha told her maid to pass out whatever food was prepared to the lady. And when it was time to break the fast, she asked that lady, okay, where's my food? So the maid said, you had given away everything. And Aisha Radhiyallahu said, why didn't you remind me that we need to keep something for ourselves as well?
Okay.
I was like, when I read this whole story, it was mind-blowing for me. That for us, it's about, I want this pakoras and pasta and chutney and fruit chaat, and you talk about everything, and it has to be all in front of me. Or I should be sitting in a place where I have access to everything.
Everything, yeah.
So then
strategic location.
Exactly.
On a dinner table.
And then Aisha Radhiyallahu anha said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards those people and returns them multifold when they give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And just at that moment, someone sent a very beautiful platter of food for Aisha Radhiyallahu anha. So she said, subhanallah, this is how Allah has paid us off. So we need to understand that when we are trying to come out of these shackles of greed, it will be the time for our growth. It will be the time for us to learn more and grow more and understand more. Like, you would see students in college and university, they would never share their notes, they would never share, they would never guide anyone, junior, how they can prepare their projects and work on their assignments. Even sometimes I've seen that in workplaces, there is a senior person, they're so greedy for that seat.
Exactly.
That position, that they will never let the juniors grow in their potentials. So the spectrum of greed is beyond just having little money for yourself or little whatever you want for yourself or just for your own self-satisfaction. This is for the growth of the whole society.
And the insecurities, I think, hinders the growth of the society.
Definitely.
In a culture that is growing more consumerism, consumerism is growing in our society, because whenever we see on our social media, there are ads popping up every time, and they make you believe that this is the product you need in your life. And I think this is because of effective marketing strategies and manipulation as well. So how to shield yourself from falling victim to the consumerism mindset that is so prevalent in our society?
For one thing, we need to remember this saying of the Prophet where he said, if the son of Adam has 2 valleys of money, he would seek the third. And for nothing can fill the belly of a son of Adam except the dust, and Allah forgives the one who repents to him. So it's like, if you keep like saying, I want more and more and more, sometimes you open your closet and you have 50 dresses over there and you're still saying, I have nothing to wear.
Exactly.
Or you open your refrigerator and it's loaded, but you say there's nothing to eat. So this is like the mindset that we need to get out of, when definitely we are burdened with like more and more and more options. One formula that has really helped me, one of my teachers said to me that you need to do like sort of annual audition of whatever resources you have.
Okay.
So in that, what I do is I open all my stuff and I peek through it, something that I have not used for one whole year. There is not a possibility that I'm going to be using it the next year. So what I usually do is give out most of those things to people who can use them. And then that helps me stay in a lot of checks and balances on myself, that if I'm going to buy more stuff, then again, what if I don't use this the whole year? So that's how you understand, because it is always after the audit that you understand how to budget whatever you have. Similarly, if Allah had blessed me with a potential, with a quality, with a trait, and this whole 1 year I had not used it anywhere, I have not made any plans for it. So what I need to do is actually start working on it, or looking for those opportunities, and yes, making du'as for that as well.
So self-reflection and self-audition is very important in order to curtail this consumerism mindset. Now, as our Holy Prophet said, or he would be a believer in the evening and a disbeliever in the morning and would sell his faith for the worldly goods.
Yeah.
How is this relevant today, and how did the Prophet, peace be upon him, guide us and told us that greed is the worst form of evil?
This is very important hadith, because I think we are living in these times when we go through these emotional and changes, and there's highs and lows in our level of faith and iman. Like one moment you're sitting with in a place or in an environment and you're reflecting upon yourself, your actions, and you're like, yes, I want to be minimalistic and I want to give out a lot of things in charity or reach out to other people. The other moment there is something which pops up and you're like, oh, there is so much insecurity in life. What if I don't have these blessings? Because you come across those examples where people did not invest in themselves, did not save for themselves, and now they're in trouble some way. And then you're like, I need to have my own cash and money and resources with me, and then it moves you towards greed. So this is a reflection of what we actually go through. And this hadith basically tells us that in all those highs and lows of moods and emotions and insecurities and securities, we need to draw the line. We need to understand ourselves. We need to understand where these ideas are coming from. And then, yes, have a decent setup for ourselves wherever we feel it gives us some security. But our total reliance has to be on Allah. And we also need to keep a lot of check on ourselves that it should not move us towards being so self-centered that I'm thinking about myself only. Like once this lady came to me for help, and she said to me that I have a family who is very affording. They have all the money and they enjoy all the luxuries, and they see that I'm not even able to pay the basic utility bills, let alone help my children go to college, university for their education. But they don't reach out, they don't help. And it is very difficult for me to go up to them and ask them. So, you know, we need to be like, you know, looking around at our family members where they are in need. And because of this COVID crisis, I also come across so many scenarios where the brothers or the family member, they're living so close by, but they're not helping. Like sometimes there is one person who is in quarantine, and the rest of the family, they can always come and reach out to the rest of the members, provide them one support one way or the other, get them groceries, bring them food, take care of their medical needs. This is like going beyond your own self, because if Allah has blessed you, you are living nicely, you should be able to reach out to your family members. So this greed sometimes puts a stop to our healthy emotions, our healthy connections as well. And this is not something that we lose out on in this life, but this is being registered for our accountability in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll be asked about it, that if Allah had blessed you so much, what did you do in your relationships?
Right.
When people needed you.
And you're compiling all that wealth for what? For your future generations to come and just, you know, throw it all away in a wasteful manner.
Because if we realistically check out, Rida, even if I have 5 bedrooms in my house, so I can't be sleeping in all those 5 bedrooms simultaneously. Even if I have 10 dinner sets in my closet, at one time I'll be using 1 plate per person. It's not like you pile up all the plates and you say, oh, since I have so much crockery, so I can use it that way. Similarly, if you have 5 cars at your house, you'll be driving the 1 car yourself. You can't be sitting in all the cars all the time. So for all the things that we have, we need to understand that what is our human limitation, how much we can consume.
Yes.
And as you said rightly, that we need to get out of this consumer mindset and this materialistic mindset. And it is also very important to hang out with those people who are humble in that manner. And that is something that the Prophet ﷺ used to do. He would not always be hanging out with the elite people, but he'll be spending a lot of time with those people who were very simple and who lived a simple lifestyle. because that is going to have an impact on you.
Yes, and I believe, like you said, that a crisis situation like COVID-19, we
Yes.
went through it, right? Initially, there was a lot of greed within people and they just stocked everything up.
Yes.
There was shortage of masks, there was shortage of sanitizers and everything like that. But I think that was the worst effect of it, right? The good part was that during COVID situation, we found out that what we really needed, essential, we were only allowed to go out for essential items, buying essential items or going to work and everything like that, the things that were important. And everything else, I think that gave me a lot of perspective on what was really important.
Yes.
So do you think the COVID-19 situation was a good lesson for the people to identify that where to draw a line in your greed for things and what is important in life?
Actually, whatever happens in our life, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to have a positive perspective about it, pull out some learning from it. So yes, definitely in this COVID situation, we have this learning that what is really important, what is really something that we need to invest in, because sometimes you have everything but you're not able to come out of your room as well. You're totally quarantined. You can't eat everything, even if there's so much present over there.
Loss of smell and taste.
Yes, and apart from that, you're dependent on oxygen cylinder and you're wearing an oxygen mask. So there's so much to learn from there and bring in so much positivity over here and come out of this greed mindset. And as you said that people started hoarding, and I remember that there are sometimes situation when there is also a crisis of the petrol, the gas.
Yes.
So when I will go for the filling in the fuel in my car, someone would always tell me, fill up to full,
Yes.
so that you are in safe hands. So I always tell people, no, I'm going to only take the amount of fuel that is required, because there might be someone who's more needy than me.
Yes.
I mean, and another thing that I see is we even show our greedy attitude when we are on the road. Like sometimes there is an ambulance desperately telling us to give way, but we are so greedy, no, I need to reach there in my
Yes,
time.
my
and-
problem is more important.
Yes, my problem. And sometimes I've even seen people who give way to the ambulance and then they are immediately behind the ambulance, because
Yes.
ambulance is going to get all the way,
Clearing the
so
way.
I will also get all the way out. So these mindsets need to be changed.
Yes, and now that the word minimalism is
Yes.
being coined a lot, and I saw a documentary on it as well. So how important do you feel it is our responsibility in the media to teach the concept of minimalism to people?
Media plays a very important role, not only in this matter of greed, but all the characteristics that we had been talking about and we will be talking about as well. These are the things that should be portrayed. A lot of time when we see that there are some plays and dramas where they show misery of not having something.
Yes.
So directly or indirectly they're giving this message, see, you should have all the money, because when you have money, then at least you don't have to worry about these things. So these are the concept. Then all the ads that are running, yes, we do need to be aware of the products which are there in the market, but if we are told, like for example, you will notice many ads which are run in the month of Ramadan, they'll show the food.
Yes.
Table is loaded with food.
Yeah.
So this is the concept which we should not be promoting. We should we should talk about our product. We should talk about how our product is important, but in a very dignified manner, because we want to also impart a positive mindset and healthy value system to the people.
Exactly, and I think this kind of generates unrealistic standards for people to follow, and they will always be like, okay, I saw this on television and this is the right way to go about life. They see the people were so happy when they were celebrating with so much food on their tables. So I want that. And that, I think, instills the wrong sense of direction within your mind. So lastly, I would like, because you spoke about that and I wanted to come back to that, but we're running out of time. So you said that within children, we instill this element of greed, they perform better, right? So what is the alternative way to go about it? Because I was really interested in knowing your thoughts on it.
For children, what I would say is that we need to guide them by telling them that whatever is destined for you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will definitely get it. All you have to do is strive for it using the right parameters and not indulge in something where you override other person. You don't give the right of other person as it should be given. For this, what you can even do is you can cut out different shapes and place it on the table in front of kids and tell them to pick up different shapes, or even you can make them into different bags with randomly putting different shapes in there, and then tell the kids to open those bags,
Right.
and then check out what they have, and then tell them, see, we all get different packages. So one thing
Nice.
is that you can look into the shapes of whatever other person got, and you start complaining about what is in
Oh,
your
why
bag.
didn't I get that? I
Yes,
wanted
these
that.
colors, and they got 10 and I got 5. And other thing is that you look at whatever you have in your bag and you enjoy that. So
Right.
these are the ways that we can actually give these concepts to our children, that how they can come out of greed and enjoy the blessing that Allah has given them.
Indeed, that is a very good, I think, exercise for our children in order to instill the sense of responsibility and to, and a sense of acceptance of
Yes.
what you have in life, and not be greedy for what other people have in their lives. So on that note, we'll conclude today's transmission. It was a very healthy discussion about the importance of realizing that greed can actually destroy your soul and the society you're living in as well. So on this note, I'll bid you farewell. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير خلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما